Yeah, there. Oh. There you go. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Everyone, welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We've reached episode 741. This is being recorded on September 20, 2023. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath, and I can't wait till 7:47, and we can start it off with Queen of the Skies.
Yes.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
Yes, we've reconvened yet again, even if it was a slow news week. It wasn't really, actually. It was medium news week, but we have lots to talk about. And we're going to start off by talking about Patreon. Yes, give us money, throw us money, please. We beg you. Like Tom H-Man did.
H-Man.
He gets the
He
shout
made
out
it
there.
rain.
Yeah.
He made it rain for us, and we thank him for it.
And all that. So that's the Patreon segment. And Josh, it's time for the food segment. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I had the blue burger. It's not BLEW, it's BLEU. And the blue burger is comprised of 2 beef patties, topped with caramelized onion, bacon, blue cheese crumbles, and topped with a sweet balsamic reduction. Sumptuous is a word that you could describe. Perilously unhealthy is another, but I guess, blue cheese, I don't know. But if you don't like that kind of astringent taste with blue cheese, then it might not be your cup of tea or double patty burger. However, the sweet balsamic reduction really offsets a lot of that blue cheese issue. And the combination of the bacon and the caramelized onions, it all just comes together nicely. You can still taste the beef. It was a filling burger. It made me feel good. The fries were good. It was just, yet again, another top-notch experience. And unfortunately, meat prices are continuing to go up, so I may have to do this once every 2 weeks now.
Let's move to our first news story of the week. And Intel has had their Innovation 2023 going on. Today is day 2. Yesterday was the big keynote with some of the architectural details being discussed for their new CPU. Well, SoC. Meteor Lake. Not the 14th gen refresh that we've seen rumors about. This is different. This is all new architecture. And Intel says their biggest architectural shift in 40 years. That's a lot of decades.
That's what they say.
I'm looking at the fact that there are different tiles now. So that reminds us of another company. They don't have chiplets. They have tiles. They have a 3D performance hybrid architecture. This is, of course...
And remember, it's not glued.
No. It's not haphazardly glued. It's using a industry-leading Foveros 3D packaging. Not industry-leading would be their process technology. Intel 4, which I think is 6 nanometer or something. I don't know.
6 to 7.
Okay. So
their 7 is 10.
It's an improvement. It should be an improvement in a number of ways, but I kept going back to this SoC tile because it has these extra E-cores on it. There's a compute tile with E-cores and P-cores, but the SoC tile, which has the media engine, the display engine, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth, memory controller, and NPU, which they talked about ad nauseum because of the whole AI thing. But there are these low-power E-cores in there, and when we were...
It almost makes you think that this could also be utilized in another product.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
The double E cores?
Think about way back in the day when NVIDIA was actually making cell phone chips, and they had a really super low power, core that it handled things like the touch screen and some other low. Mm-hmm. This was before Big Little was a thing. And it's also kind of interesting that Intel would do something like this, that, maybe this really low power E-core can do other menial things, but also possibly I don't know, power something else that has larger NPUs or, graphics chips attached, or the flexibility here is kind of interesting. I know nothing about future plans, but it's kind of interesting to think that this might be used for other things.
I hope
I
you
know
were
another
alluding
company
to,
that spreads that sort of sort of layout around as well.
back in 2015, in the months before my son was born, I did things like review phones, and this particular one right here, the Zenfone 2. This was an Intel-powered smartphone. If I could remember the name of the platform. Is that Medfield?
I think you're right.
I think it is.
So this is...
It's part of the Atom line. That makes sense.
Oh, it was very much an Atom.
Back when Atom was Atom.
Let me tell you,
and
it was an
Power
Atom.
VR graphics.
Yeah.
But this
Power
thing...
VR, when that was a thing.
This thing was so responsive. It was beyond even what you could get on an iPhone at the time. The ramps, the speed ramps were instantaneous whenever any kind of touch input was detected. You would get like 1 or 2 cores ramping up to max clocks. So it was a very, very responsive touch experience, and it made the phone feel so snappy. Even when it wasn't as fast, when you actually ran benchmarks and things, it was not up to the level of the flagship Android phones at the time, but it was an interesting
It's almost like Intel, as a CPU company, had been working on ramping up clock speeds when they're needed, well before ARM and its partners had done that effectively. And in fact, kind of before AMD in ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although ARM had Big Little long before, but they weren't so good at ramping up.
No. That's a whole different conversation, though. But anyway,
Fair.
Meteor Lake.
There are 4 tiles. 4 tiles.
Four
tiles.
They have the compute tile, which has new E-core and P-core microarchitecture on Intel 4. You have the SoC tile, as we've discussed. Insert, 25 straight minutes of AI talk.
Now, is it just me, or is Intel using a lot of sienna color in this presentation? Some people will know what that means.
All I know is if you whip me with that wet noodle anymore, I'm going to say there's 5 tiles.
And of course, hey, and ARC graphics.
It's wet noodle from a faux, so it's faux.
So if they're tiles, they're held together with grout, not glue. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless
Just
they're
needed
like,
to clarify.
they could be stick down tiles with optional grout,
Well, but they said there was no glue. So
that's right.
probably
So they can't be
grout.
stick down. All right, so they're grouted, fully grouted tiles. All right, I should have asked. That's the question that nobody asked during the Q&A. Dang it! What a missed opportunity.
Okay, so here's something.
Okay.
Here's something. Going back to our discussion, here's something that Intel has not done effectively in the past 25 years, and that is to get on a single architecture for all their products for graphics. So they had different stuff with different subsets of features for chipsets, different CPU cores, sometimes even in the same family would have a different graphics architecture. It drove the software people nuts because they had to support so much stuff. There was something at one time, 32 different distinct kind of architectures with different feature sets that they had out in their entire ecosystem. And, love him or hate him, Raja has done some good things. You could argue that he has not been as effective as possibly he could have been. He has moved along, but what he has done is really focused it so that they can make an architecture that you can throw out onto these mobile CPUs, and it's a lot the same as what their standalone stuff is. It's they needed to do it for so many reasons, especially software. Drivers, as we know, are hard, and they're hard to do. And it's look at Starfield performance. Battlefield 2042 still apparently does not run, that I learned this past weekend. Yeah, it's rough. And so to get their software guys focused on one architecture and make it work effectively, across all platforms, that's a huge win. And I really hope to see more of this. And this would, in fact, push a little bit more impetus towards the ability to actually survive as a graphics firm in the future. We'll talk about later.
Yeah, the graphics we'll talk about later. And the ARC thing, ARC is not in every SKU, by the way.
Not every SKU, but it's getting there.
Yeah. Well, but it's in every podcast.
It's not in every SKU of the upcoming... it says ARC graphics only available in select MTL processor-powered systems with dual-channel memory. So clearly, you're not going to put ARC graphics in a bandwidth-starved situation in a budget laptop. So I guess that's going to be up to the system builders and how they want to integrate and how much they want to spend. But as we know, there are plenty of pathetic laptops, only 8 gigabytes of memory on a single DIMM. Even today, which is sad and depressing.
Did you just marry the word pathetic with that? I just want to check that.
Yeah, it's pathetic to only have a single DIMM in anything.
Okay.
Haven't we reached the point where quad channel memory is becoming kind of standardized because of DDR5? And so this whole thing, the 3D performance hybrid architecture, it's supposed to do all sorts of things for your battery life and your productivity and the way that you live your digital life, plus AI and all that stuff. But those low-power E-cores, I think that they actually work with the media engine, so you will not even need to use main P or E-cores from the compute tile to do things like watch YouTube videos. So it could be very interesting for battery life.
Can we just briefly mention like the all E-core chip? What does it have on it? Like 288 E-cores? Something like that?
Yeah, it's a different product. But yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. So
And
Meteor
now
Lake.
for something completely different.
Yes.
Hey, can we all just stop talking about Intel for 5 seconds?
Whoa.
Please.
And
Why? Do we want
overreact?
to talk about Intel?
No, I want to overreact to some very early speculation about the next NVIDIA GPU architecture and the RTX 5090 rumors at videocards.com. Okay, listen to some of these possibly made up numbers. Tagged as a rumor, so you know.
And on video cards, tagging is a rumor.
Well,
This looks
they are good about
digitally
tagging
edited.
If it's rumors or not. This is just a render, okay, and some photoshopping or whatever they use. So
Paint. They're using paint nowadays.
our favorite old school Twitter data miner, Copite7Kimmy,
Blackwell.
confirmed these rumors and informed us, this is videocards.com, that the upcoming RTX 50 series would adopt the GB2XX naming convention. Very important. So let's just talk about some of these numbers. 50% increase in scale compared to a 4090, so presumably cores, they're saying. About the same increase in memory bandwidth. A 78% increase in cache.
Oh, of course.
15% increase in frequency. And a 1.7x improvement in performance. So
Yeah.
Let's talk about just monstrous change. Now, bear in mind, this is the company that's all in on AI, right? Where
Okay, well, to step back a bit,
Yeah.
the RTX 4090 was a pretty significant jump from the 3090.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it ate the power, but it was there. That is all.
Yeah.
Move away from me. That's it.
not
Get out of
wrong.
my.
okay, that's it. All right, I was taking a drink of water and
Moving
I
on.
had my hand on the.
Was it really 1.7 though, Josh? I think it was like half again the performance.
It was significant.
We'll hear a lot more about this in the next year or so until we actually get a 5090. The idea here is just kind of ludicrous, but yeah, I'm a little worried about the cost. Somebody in the YouTube chat said, yeah, 200% increase in cost, and I just feel like that's probably accurate.
Someone else said
Well,
it'd be
it said
cheaper.
right there in the specs it was 1.7 times the cache.
Oh,
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
It's probably
Ken.
going to
That
be
was well done.
introduced at $2,000.
yeah, I
as
think you're right,
compared
Josh.
to-
I think you're right.
Yeah.
15.
Makes you sad.
Let's be honest here.
Let's.
For the performance level of the 4090 this generation, fastest graphics card ever produced for a consumer, $1,599 was not enough. It should have been like $2,500 for this insane. I'm serious. Look at the old Titan X type product.
I was gonna say, look at the old Titan. It's $1,000. Are you mad, Ryan? Why are you buying one?
Right.
It's got Star Wars on it.
Right.
All right.
Sounds yes. The light
Put
side
it
of the
up
dark
there
side.
at
Which
like
one did he buy?
2500 and
Which one did he
then
buy?
have a 4080 Ti at 1500 and then a 4080 at 1000 but what do I know? I don't get to price their stuff.
Nobody does, because they're all in on AI, and
That's
Yep.
the thing.
even though they do focus on gamers, I mean they still have like 80% of the market share of discrete graphics cards. But it's like, I mean, we're throwing you a bone in that we're releasing drivers all the time. We do have a next generation product stack, but you're gonna pay for it. And in fact, you're really not getting anything really better than last generation at that same price point, except DLSS 3.
Moving swiftly along to another story about graphics, Intel has their commitment to building GPUs is pretty self-evident. This is in quotes. As Arc lands in Meteor Lake, so I mean they already have the architecture, and it was originally based on mobile graphics architecture, so it makes sense it would be in the next SoC. But yes, Tom Peterson says, quote, "Is Intel committed after billions and billions of dollars of investment and over 5 years of development and now bringing that to Meteor Lake? I mean, I think it's pretty self-evident," end quote, Peterson says. Though he doesn't actually come out and say
He doesn't
it.
say.
He's saying,
He doesn't say.
I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
self-evident.
That's not a yes or no, Tom.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to get him on the show and ask him the tough questions.
Axe him.
Oh, there, there is a picture of somebody talking to him just below that. Where
Oh, is
you're-
there? Okay. Well, that
Yeah,
looks like
there
the
is,
same
yeah.
render I
That-
used
that-
for
Oh,
Meteor
wow.
Lake.
There's
Okay.
Tom.
Yeah, but keep going.
Oh,
Oh,
there's
here we
Tom
go.
and Ryan.
Oh.
There's a still from one of their videos talking about. I mean, look at the commitment. They have custom T-shirts. That's commitment. I bet his has an ARC logo on it too. If his hand was,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have custom artwork. They have a set. They have built them a set. Okay. I don't know if this is a green screen or if it's real. The table looks real.
But Ryan's
Supposedly-
sincerely
Well,
mean
there's
that, doesn't he?
reflections, so, you know.
One of the real pieces of data that I gleaned from this particular article was the fact that they left out FP64 on all their current ARC GPUs and are actually adding that, I guess, back in at some point or somehow.
Well, it's got to go with Battle Mage.
Battle Mage, yep.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Shouldn't
some
they be
games use
wearing robes?
FP64 computations, so
I didn't
What
know
games
that.
are using
Kinda-
FP64?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
Maybe
I
Starfield.
don't know.
Nothing. Is
I
using
don't-
this.
apparently that's not exactly true. They actually
Really?
had
Solutions in search of a problem is
Right.
a theme tonight.
Well, you know,
Yeah, really.
I found a game from Game Jolt that uses FP64, and I need a graphics card that can handle that.
Occasionally they're seeing an issue with games
What?
that elect to use this.
FP64 is something that's more in like the professional workstation world, right?
So perhaps they have run up against, I don't want to call them lazy, but developers that use just say, give me the widest,
Who is using double precision for
bit,
gaming?
bit
No
numeric
one. No one.
that I can, I don't know.
The Nintendo
yeah.
Switch
Interesting.
is half precision, for crying out loud. It's FP16.
It was good enough for the Switch.
It is. The Switch is it's in a lot of hands. It's everybody.
Yeah, before we make any more things, this probably needs a little bit more digging than to just take,
Yeah.
because, I can't see double precision for game. It just doesn't make much sense.
I think Brett is just having some kind of a fever dream.
I will
Just
literally quote
hallucinating.
Tom. A native implementation of
it's in there.
FP64 on ARC has turned out to be a nuisance because that shows up some places, game engines, and there's stuff we have to do to make that work. Peterson says, so as we get more mature on ARC, we're gaming first, and we know what those
Wait a minute.
are.
Is he talking about like from a development standpoint?
The context
It's
has been
gotta be
lost, but the
real-time
quote is
rendering.
there.
All right. Speaking of graphics, we keep on talking about graphics. It's like we're
My
a
goodness.
PC gaming podcast or something. AMD has released Adrenalin Software 23.9.2. Now, this is nothing new. There's new drivers all the time. But what's interesting about this one is, in addition to the new game support, as we would expect, this is Lies of P, Party Animals, and The Crew Motorfest. There is new AMD Radeon Anti-Lag Plus game support for Starfield, The Witcher 3, Elden Ring, and Immortal of Avium. Up to a 45% decrease in latency across select titles when AMD Radeon Anti-Lag Plus is on the Radeon RX 7900 XTX in select titles. Oh, that's the number. Okay, so I guess you can use it in other GPUs. Let's see what compatible GPUs there are.
Oh, geez, wait. I better download this update.
If you have a 5000, 6000, or 7000 series graphics cards, you can take advantage of this. I do not see any support for the Polaris
Onboard
cards.
Yeah, there's sort of this lack of support for Polaris and, of course, older cards.
I don't
And
see
Vega.
Radeon 7 either.
Yeah,
I'm
Vega,
sorry.
Radeon 7.
What are you talking about? Those cards never existed.
Yeah.
We're starting to see this in a couple of other updates as well. It's a little bit sad to see cards that are still capable of very reasonable performance at 1080p getting left behind due to lack of driver support now.
But honestly, at a certain point, don't you sort of just say, you know, here's a driver that works really well, stick with it. If we need security updates, we'll pass it on to you and you'll get a new one. But
the problem is
there's
so many game specific optimizations per driver.
And fair, but people that are rocking those cards generally aren't really upgrade friendly.
Are you saying they're running Linux? They're running Linux? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily. Could be running BIOS.
Come on, man! It's an 8 gig card.
It was awesome. They've settled on a system. It works. They don't want to mess with it. They don't want to deal with driver updates. They just want something that works, and away they go. I'm not necessarily calling my dad out on this, but he's one of them, where it's just like, it works. I don't want to have to download anything. I don't want to have to deal with anything. I just want it to work. And so you hit one of the like a legacy long-term support driver, and just stick with it. If you upgrade, you've got to get to the new cards and stuff. But the chances are, if you're still playing with that old card, you're not buying a brand new game on day one. You didn't go out and buy Phantom Liberty. So having something that's stable and just works. I mean, NVIDIA did that. They severed, what was it, the 10 and 20 series, I think? No, the 20 series is still going, but the 10 series has been severed. It's like, you've got a long-term update. This is it. And honestly, if you're running something that's legacy, and, I'm stretching the word legacy here a little bit because it's only a couple of years, but it's like, it's kind of nice not for them to have to deal with it. And then when you come over and try and fix a computer and download a new driver, and every single thing that goes wrong, up to including them losing their keys, was obviously because you messed with the computer. So I don't know. I like, eventually you do have to just sort of stop updating. I mean, that's why Windows isn't in such a mess that it is legacy support. You gotta cut the leash at some point, don't you?
By the way,
there's still a lot of people playing on 1080 Ti's out there.
But
got one running back there.
This last round of GPU testing for the 7800 XT launch, the 1080 Ti, I put it back on the test bed and I started benchmarking it, and I ran into an issue where 60% of the stuff I wanted to run on it does not run on it because it's not a fully DirectX 12 compliant GPU. So unless I decided to shave off the DX12 Ultimate stuff, I would not be able to do apples to apples comparisons with anything, because I was running certain games and it was automatically disabling any kind of DXR effects on the 1080 Ti.
Sebastian, just put the Rage 3D back in the box.
So it's a fantastic DX11 card. You're really not going to do any better for that era of gaming. But for DX12 stuff, you pretty much have to move on at this point. Get a 60 or a 6000 series card from AMD or higher, or get a 20 series card from NVIDIA.
And if you're on AMD, we've entered an era where if you're not running an RDNA based GPU, you're going to be left behind, unfortunately. Not because their hardware is terrible, but because the driver support is disappearing and there's only so much time they have to support stuff.
Intel has a whole new way to crack cores. That's right, glass. It has similar properties as silicon, but dimensional stability and ability to scale, according to this slide from Intel Corporation. So glass core substrates instead of organic substrates? Please discuss.
Well, I mean, you're going from an organic substrate to an inorganic chip to an inorganic substrate and an inorganic chip. Makes sense, doesn't it?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure
Okay,
what this
so
is really.
first
What
we
the
had-
advancement here is.
Ceramic substrates.
Yes.
They were really bulky and
Yep.
didn't do great things, but they were easy to make. And then we went to organic, and you could make them thinner, and they were fairly rigid, but they were also pretty strong. But the thermal and especially electrical, I mean, there was some leakage in there, and so leakage is a bad word, but
Organics
you couldn't pack stuff in, whether through via just PCB type stuff of routing. It was okay. Wasn't great, but it was okay. And now we've got glass, which is really very much an insulator, and they've made it pretty tough, apparently. So it's probably not going to crack, like you're saying. But you can also populate it with far more, through vias, layers.
Yeah, but Link can't get a hold of it, and it's going to crack. That was the
What?
crack I was making.
Oh, okay.
Haha.
Yeah.
So
Carry
anyway.
on. Sorry.
But yeah, it's the future is materials. I mean, yeah, we've got EUV, we've got NAUV coming up. We've got other things that you could deposit metal atom by atom essentially anymore. But this is another area where it's a slight improvement that can make for a large jump in the future. So, yeah, materials, glass. It looks like it's got a future to it, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see if people can actually crack it with thermal properties. I mean, maybe. I mean, it seems pretty tough the way they're describing it. So, I don't know.
So it's going to be tough.
interesting.
It's not going to be any more delicate than.
But it's going to be
existing
transparent,
chips?
man.
Oh, no.
No, it's probably not going to be.
No,
fully
it won't be
transparent.
transparent.
But no, it's going to be about the same robustness.
Oh, okay.
It's just that you can do so much more with it. And, I mean, it makes sense. I'm probably...
glass is not
overgeneralizing
okay.
here.
By the way, wood dog glass is not a ceramic. That's two totally different type materials.
Damn straight.
I mean, they're close in ways, but glass is not a ceramic.
You're thinking of Corning Gorilla Glass.
Yeah.
that would be a ceramic, I believe, yes.
Well, it's got multiple things in there, so I guess
Yeah,
you probably could talk about it as a ceramic.
It's a colloid.
Yeah.
Dr. Ian Cuttress actually has a video that I believe he launched yesterday about this very thing.
Was he
May
eating
have
the
been
glass?
today. No. He was just he was going into Intel's talking about it, and he explains it in a way that is I cannot. He's a very smart young man, but he's very excited about the possibilities of it, and I do see the benefits. It could be really cool what they can do here. But as Jeremy said,
absolutely.
it might make delitting a little dangerous.
Well,
I was
then
wondering
again,
about that.
It was already dangerous.
yes. But then again, the way that they're
sound
talking about
that
it,
it made.
because you're not having to drive through and deal with the organic, they can probably lower, they improve the power delivery. So the power delivery is not being spread out as much as it is currently. It's going to be very, very tight little places, and so you might not have to delete, unless you really want to. The other thing is that one of the things you're talking about is you will be able to make larger packages. You still might have the tiny little process, but you've got a larger package, and that should make yields significantly better, which would be, wonderful for everyone.
Yes,
Problem
larger
is-
packages
Yes.
are wonderful for everyone.
Yes, we all love the larger packages.
And also, it is going to
More
improve AI
monolithic.
and is backwards compatible with crypto and blockchain.
Thank goodness. I just
Don't
mentioned
do
in
that when I'm
YouTube chat
swallowing a beer.
that it's bound to give us better FP64, more FP64.
Yeah, for gaming. All the FP64 for those gamers. Let's pause here for a word from this week's podcast sponsor.
How would you like to get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your home, specially dialed in with seasonal recipes? Well, we've been raving about all that and more with our recent experience with HelloFresh. They're going the extra mile to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. So why not kickstart your busy fall routines with HelloFresh too? Let HelloFresh handle the meal planning and grocery getting on your behalf, essentially letting them do the hard parts, and you get to take the credit later. With today's super busy schedules in mind, HelloFresh has 15-minute meals that let you serve up a home-cooked dinner in less time than it takes to get takeout or delivery. Bam! But HelloFresh has even more. You can stock up on easy breakfasts or quick lunch options in addition to their 40 weekly recipes and over 100 add-on items to choose from each week. Seriously, HelloFresh makes meal planning a snap, which is one of the reasons we've been enjoying it so much. So get HelloFresh and go to hellofresh.com/50PCPer and use code 50PCPer for 50% off. Plus 15% off for the next 2 months. Get started with your sampling of America's #1 meal kit and go to hellofresh.com/50PCPer and use code 50PCPer for 50% off, plus 15% off the next 2 months.
We are back, and we're going to move right into security corner.
Yeah. Trigger warning, it's security corner.
Let's talk about probing. A probe.
Well, there is
revealed
probing.
Previously secret Israeli spyware that infects targets via ads.
Now, I agree. I like the lawyer register, but I disagree with this because it's not secret. They're literally selling it. Yes, it costs a hell of a lot of money to buy, but they are selling it to whoever wants it. And it literally targets you via the ads that are served to you, and it's actually paired with another cyber intelligence, we could say cyber intelligence, but spy agency that watches the ads that are served to you so that they can then serve you up infected ads that look exactly like what the ones you generally see are. And it's for sale. Now, this is nasty. And Brett, I'm sure you've got a few things to say about this one too.
They've named it Sherlock, and this is clearly something that the big tech media companies, social media companies, have been sort of rolling their own and trying to stay on top of things like Apple's awareness of this sort of thing and opt-out mechanisms and blocking mechanisms, and maybe Google may have done some sort of like hand waving at that. But the point here is that there have been a lot of mobile and browser blocking that has come along to try and stop these big media companies. Fortunately, this company has come along with their Sherlock product in a way to get around that. And these large media companies embrace that. And thankfully, this company is here to serve their needs and make sure that you, the product, and I'm talking about everyone here as an individual, the product is continued to be accessible and spied upon as you're destined to be. So if you could just pony up to your social media site and just sort of give it up, they would be much appreciative of that. And this particular product, buyable by anyone with deep enough pockets, will happily oblige. That's all. It's crappy.
Jeremy, does this spy agency involved in this, do they rhyme with facade by any chance?
That's funny.
I can neither confirm nor deny this question.
The question is that the headline of this particular article is Israeli spyware. So the wondering is this agency sponsored? I don't know.
Next, thousands of Juniper devices vulnerable to unauthenticated RCE flaw.
Yeah, so there were two medium flaws. They were like 5s, 5.5, something like that. And it turned out that if you added those together, you got a 9.8. Okay, I know the math doesn't check out on this, but they also don't ever do a 10. So there is a PHP environment variable that they can mess with, except when you chain that together with missing authentication to run code, you can actually just sort of take over a firewall. And if there's one appliance you do not want people taking over, it'd be your firewall. And it gets better. Because after the researchers figure this out, they realize that, wait, no, this 5-point something flaw, we don't even need the second flaw to do that. We can just run unauthorized code on your firewall with just the one. Because, hey, we're not perfect. We do CVEs as best we can, and it looks like a medium flaw until someone comes out with a proof of concept to say, yeah, no, that's actually well up into the 9-point somethings.
Well, apparently this is a do file upload exposed functionality in a PHP environment. And if you're like me and you like PHP as much as kind of everybody else does, despite the fact that it still runs probably half the web, it has its issues, especially when it's unpatchable, like in an environment that's sort of an embedded Juniper mechanism, hardware
What you gonna do?
kind of thing. What are you going to do? You're not going to do anything. So you're just going to kind of sit there, accepting file uploads and environment variable overrides till somebody can exploit it externally with a one-liner and then own you. This is pretty bad. I think they identified over 12,000
about
devices.
12 grand.
Yep. That are still susceptible to this sort of thing. One-liner exploit for owning your network, kind of, or all the traffic traversing across. I find this especially, if I can say, there's a German word for this, Schadenfreude. Yeah. That's a security apparatus mechanism. The firewall that's designed to protect you is the exploitable element of your network. There's a certain je ne sais quoi.
There's a reason we don't use Juniper at work anymore. Because this has happened multiple times. Yeah,
anyway,
it's
sad.
And you're saying,
I'm not sure there's a patch.
12 grand. It's 12,000 machines. No, Juniper firewalls are stupid expensive. They are usually sitting at the edge of a giant corporation. And they are supposed to take care of everything. So yeah, when you say that only 12,000 or so have been affected, no, you were talking about entire corporations that are now vulnerable to this. It's really not good.
Next, here's an AI story. Oh, thank goodness we get to talk about AI again. Microsoft AI researchers accidentally exposed terabytes of internal sensitive data.
For the last 3 or 4 years.
It could happen to anybody. Come on now. I mean, who hasn't checked into their Git repo their super secret security credentials they never meant to just because it was below a directory?
That they gave full access to? Not just read access to, but like full access?
That's just the credentials they gave away. They didn't. It was a two-step process. One, somebody had to carefully analyze the Git repo, like, check it out. Yep, step one, that's it. There are no more steps. So they essentially had to pull the Git repo and then look through it and say, hey, a particular engineer checked in like terabytes or something of data that allow us to exploit your internal network with credentials that allow us to essentially pull down thousands and thousands of employee data, particular personal information. And they did.
There are 2 Microsoft employees that are in real deep shit right now because they dragged down the personal backups of those 2 employees' machines. They're not named.
There's a convenient command, though, that's called git blame. And you could find out who they were pretty easily.
Yeah, well, I don't want to because I feel bad for them.
Yeah, this is a bad move. I mean, but like I said, it could happen to anybody. Oh my gosh, I get pushed an entire tree of stuff. I should never have done that. My bad.
Yeah. Well,
they shouldn't have done that.
They wanted to train their machine learning on open source stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that was literally but my favorite part about the whole bloody article is. The URL, which had exposed this data since 2020, was also misconfigured to allow full control rather than read-only permissions, according to Wiz.
I think we need to turn to Microsoft for these sorts of shenanigans, and I'm glad they're out there because, somebody's got to do this sort of thing, and Microsoft is stepping up to the plate to cause these, and to step into it this hard. Good on them.
Yeah, no. And no,
if it's got to be somebody,
don't know how many keys got released through this. Yeah. Your KNS server may suddenly go down because, hey, you have an exposed key and now you got to redo something.
I'm thinking of the engineer who's actually doing like the git push on this is going like, wow, this is taking a really long time. Why is this taking so long to upload?
Well, I mean, it's like Azure or Intune. I do something, it might happen immediately, it might happen in an hour, it might take until tomorrow. No one knows. So there's no rhyme or reason.
I've gone to lunch, or I've switched away from that task, and assuming it'll take care of itself, and I'll check back tomorrow.
Well, you kind of have to, because it's like, no, literally, I've done everything. Here's the screenshot that I've done it. Yeah, it's not working on my end. Well, it's Intune. It might be tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, no, that's just... But don't worry, kids. Trust Azure, trust Intune, trust Microsoft. They, something.
Yes.
Something.
Yeah. It's time for gaming quick hits, and this is the part of the show where we urge you to drop everything and buy Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Everybody's raving about it. They're posting screenshots everywhere.
It's got Idris Elba. If you haven't watched anything with him in a while.
Was it DLSS 3.5? It's got the whatchamacallit?
Ray reconstruction.
Ray reconstruction.
That's
looks pretty
iteration.
Dang good.
Yeah, if you're running on an Intel or an NVIDIA. Apparently my RX 6800 XT is going to have a problem with it. But no, I'm busy playing other things. But I was curious to see what Rock Paper Shotgun thought of it, and saying possibly the best DLC ever. Is like, really?
Strong. That's strong.
Really? But from what they're sort of saying, the campaign that you get with the DLC is actually better than any of the campaign games from the main game. Which is, not the worst thing to be saying. Even if you don't buy it, you still get a totally reworked perk tree, you get a totally reworked cyberware thing, several new missions, there's now car combat, apparently. If you do buy the DLC, you get another ghost in your head, you get to meet the president, apparently. You get significantly more levels.
Look at all those blue screens of death.
That's an interesting observation. I didn't see that at first.
I'm not paying to crash this stuff, man.
Well, no, that was the first release. When they first released it, you were paying just to crash it. No, it's not better than Beyond the Sword. And I haven't even played it yet, but no, it's not better than Beyond the Sword. Civ 4 Beyond the Sword, come on.
So yeah,
the final release
this one sounds good. And it's
Civ 5 was just sort of bad, and then Civ 6 was just...
This is the final release of Cyberpunk because they're changing engines. So if you enjoy it, you can enjoy it slightly more with this DLC.
Hey, they're saying that it's the size of a full game, this DLC. So
yeah, they said 12 to 16 hours for the new quest.
Kent, are you excited for this new chapter?
Oh wait, Kent's alive?
Oh yeah, I finally finished rebuilding my PC last weekend and reinstalled Cyberpunk and started a new campaign. Just got into the very beginning of it, and I'm ready. I'm ready for the patch, and I'm ready for the DLC.
Is your body ready? You said your PC is ready. Is your body ready?
No, I'm 54 years old. My body's not ready for anything.
Is your
It's a day by day
4090
kind of a
is your
thing.
4090
Yeah.
12 volt high power ready for the experience?
Oh, are you 12 volt high power certified? Are you, wait, is it
Oh, yeah.
it's dual by 6 something? What's the new standard called? The update?
Oh, I don't know. Remember, you were the one that told us.
It's 12V 6 by 6 or something, or I don't remember.
Something like that. Well,
Okay.
let us know how the vehicular combat goes, because I haven't had a good vehicular combat game in a while.
I
Yeah.
will.
There's just too much stuff to play right now.
All right, let's talk about the Unity thing. Now, Unity has
This-
now promised, after the seemingly endless outcry over their ridiculous new fee structure, they are now promising changes to install fee plans as developer fallout continues.
Just to do a TLDR on this, Unity was the go-to engine for a very large number of indie mobile platform and desktop platform developers for games and finger twiddler, time wasters on so many different places, because Unity had a great model and a way to gain adoption. Of course, anybody who is the underdog, in this case, I think versus Unreal, is probably going to be priced right in order to gain usage. Well, now that they've got the usage, they want to crank up essentially recoup their investment and crank up the dollar figure against everybody. And this was a surprise. And nobody liked the fact that they were going to be charged 20 cents per usage install. And there's so many different if
after
this
about
then that
50K installs,
situations. Yeah. Then they came back with, we're going to tier this with different places that's going to cut in. And then they tried to kind of soft sell it some more by saying, oh, we're going to kind of exempt you, and we're going to exempt you from this fee structure. And then they threw, maybe this was somebody who just talked to me today at, over the network. They said, oh, we're just going to be 1% less than Unreal. But the point is that there's been a great hue and upcry about this, because Unity is great for a lot of platforms, and especially mobile games. I don't know where this is going to end up. They may backtrack on this whole thing. I really don't know. It's unsettled at this moment right now, but it feels like they're going to move forward with some sort of fee structure for the largest users of the system. They have to recoup.
No, the problem is that Unity has been losing investor money.
Mm-hmm.
The investors are not making money off of it. And so they've got a new guy in charge. Can't remember his name. But they would like to, see some return on the investment they put into Unity. So I don't think there's going to be a reversal in this, because there's money involved. And they would like to not see a net loss coming off of this. The problem is that a small net loss is better than a large net loss. And that seems to be sort of the dichotomy they're looking at right now.
Mead mentions that the new CEO is former EA, and this sort of makes sense now.
You ever know anyone
Yeah,
that
that explains a lot.
Yeah, this all makes sense.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
The install is essentially a Unity loot box. I'm sort of understanding this better now.
Finally,
Space Puppies.
Humble Bundle update. HeroCraft PC Humongous Collection Game Bundle. How many games are in this? 17. If you pay $25, what do you get?
Another day older and deeper in debt.
Well done.
No, you get a bunch of sort of pass the time games. You get some strategy games. You can get some Warhammer. I haven't actually played Foot Lowell, but I have heard that it's just ridiculous.
I think one of the standouts here, if you like this sort of thing, is the Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, the Space Puppies.
Yeah, Space Wolf, Space Puppies, Space Wolf, and all the DLC that goes with it is apparently going off of the platform in early October 12th.
Oh no, delisting October 12th. Last
Right,
chance.
so
Grab it now or it's forever gone.
This is a great opportunity, if you like that sort of game, to jump on this one.
All right, let's move to the reviews portion of tonight's podcast. And
Oh, dare do a review tonight.
standing by
Kit.
It's already 8:30.
to talk about a keyboard.
Keyboard.
Yeah, I've actually been relatively quiet tonight because I've just been typing on this keyboard and enjoying it very much because it feels great. I was not I didn't quite understand that keyboard passion that a lot of these people have, talking about their various switches and gatorons and et cetera, et cetera. As I mentioned in the article, I've every linear switch I've ever
you've joined
tried.
us? Because I didn't
Every
want to
linear
until
switch
drop
I'd
off
ever tried.
the Lord of the Rings keyboards. And then it was like suddenly, all right, fine, I'll try it out. And like, hey, this actually kind of works. So you've...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, the name of the product for the people listening to the podcast is the ROG Strix Scope 2 96 wireless.
And
Yes,
96
and,
is a reference to the key count, I would assume.
Yeah.
No,
Is
it's
that what
a 96% sized keyboard.
What?
Oh, interesting.
But it has a full complement of keys. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. So this has a 10 key, but it is about the size of a 10 keyless keyboard. That's it
This
in
looks
comparison
smaller
to a
than
standard full size.
96% to me. It's like 80%.
Well, the others are 1 and 4. But anyway, so they call it 96%, just like the others are 60% and 75%. But yeah, this has a new switch that ASUS has developed. I don't know who is making the switch for them, but this is a linear switch. I've never liked linear switches. I've tried several varieties. They just always felt very squishy. They didn't have any kind of feedback. And I learned, as I mentioned in the article, I learned on a mechanical typewriter, and then I moved to a IBM Selectric typewriter. So I was used to having, feedback from my keyboards. And then, I've used a variety of different keyboards, IBM M's up to, just crap keyboards. And I'd settled on clicky tactile mechanical switches, and I was pretty happy with those. But there's something about these NX Snow switches. They're factory pre-lubed, but they have a little higher resistance than most of the linear switches I've tried. ASUS says it's a 40-gram switch, which is pretty close to the mechanical tactile switches I've used. But it's smooth all the way down. When you strike bottom, it's a nice deep thud, essentially. But it almost feels like typing on a typewriter in a way. But it's quieter. But yeah, the biggest thing has been just getting used to this new layout, because this 96% layout is, it's different. Keys are in a slightly different position, but as you get used to it, I'm really liking it. The key feel is just fantastic. I can't speak highly enough about how good the key feel is. There's a multifunction key. Yes, if you want to set different parameters than it comes stock with, you do have to install Armory Crate, but it's a trimmed down version of
what are the
Armory
doodads
Crate
between
called
the
Armory
numpad?
Crate Gear. What's that?
It's like a spacing between there. That looks like a light.
So those are
That's
the multifunction key.
number lock and F lock and scroll lock.
Well, yeah, but the doodad between the enter and the numpad.
You can hit the function and use the number lock, scroll lock. Well, there's still a number lock dedicated button. Yeah. But the top of those little LED indicators is what you set the multifunction key for, which is right beside the volume wheel. You can set it for lighting. media. So it can be play pause, or it can be your lighting, or you can program macros through it. The bottom of the two LED selectors is Bluetooth. You can connect this keyboard up to 3 different devices, and then you just tell it which one you're on, and it connects. So, yeah, that's great. I'm actually, this is my main keyboard now, but I'm on my streaming system at the moment, and I'm using it here in Bluetooth mode. And it was just a straight switch over. I didn't have to remove the dongle from my main system. It's a well-built keyboard. Because it is so compact, it actually feels even sort of more rugged than the full-size Razer Huntsman I've been using for a couple of years. And it's just the density. It's heavy and very small. But I've really enjoyed the experience using this keyboard. It's just been fun. It's a good product. And I'm pretty happy with it. I used it. Got the review. I started the review on it with the intention of using it for 2 weeks, just to get used to it and get the experience. And it's been over 2 weeks, and it's still what I'm using.
So do you caress the keys and say, "You are my density"?
That's hysterical.
It's not hysterical, but anyway.
What's the pricing on this? How much does it run?
It is $179. It is $179.99.
They're pretty proud of it.
They are pretty proud of it, but there are more expensive keyboards, and if you start looking into like buying like a Glorious,
don't turn into Scott Wasson here.
Yeah,
keyboard people are weird.
Yeah, they are really.
Yeah, they're a bit odd.
Can we all just stop talking for a few seconds and appreciate the 35 seconds of keyboard ASMR that Kent provided with his review?
Kent,
okay.
could you please just continue with the keyboard ASMR?
Thank you.
Jeremy.
And that was his password, by the way.
That was a lot of rude words, is what that was.
Dude, that was like the end scene of Ocean's 11.
So, actually, what I was typing, which is so funny that you guys brought it up, because I was just wondering if anyone would catch it, was
how would we miss it?
You can always trust reviews from PCPer.com.
See, I told you.
I thought it was lyrics
lies
from,
and rude.
I thought it was lyrics from Rick Astley, to tell you the truth. But
I was going with the Rusted Root song, but anyway, sure.
So, what was your conclusion about this product?
Considering that, if you buy a pre-built keyboard from Glorious that has factory preloop switches of your spec, you get the frame and everything, and it's well over $300 for that. If you are interested in spending that kind of money on a keyboard, try this first.
Honestly,
if you like it,
those keys sound linear to me. They really do. I know you said you didn't like linear switches.
They are linear switches.
These are linear. Yes, these changed my mind about linear because they have a little. They're extremely smooth. I don't miss this is the first linear switch I've ever used that I don't miss the tactile feedback.
I like linear switches. So.
You pointed out, Kent, in the review that they are damping acoustically the actual chassis, like
yes,
a sandwich layer of like some kind of dense foam and something else in there.
There's a silicone layer under the PCB, and then there's foam under the switches. So it is highly damped. Really, the only switch on here that has any kind of rattle or sound to it, other than just that what they call the thock sound when it bottoms out, is the space bar.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think, partially because of the size of the space bar, and it's a big hollow space underneath, on the underside of it. So
with two switches, I'm assuming.
Sometimes it's just balanced
not
over
always.
one.
Yeah,
I think
sometimes
it's one switch.
sports.
It's one switch, but it's a stabilizer bar and dampers.
Yeah.
Fair.
And all the dampers were pre-factory lubed, just like the switches. You can pull the keycaps, and when you can look at the stabilizers under there, and you can actually see that, they weren't lying. There's definitely a lube on there. But
All right. Well, thank you, Kent, for that review, and we're going to move immediately to Pixel of the Week. Josh, please get us started.
Me. You know what? I've been kind of looking around because my kid wants to upgrade his machine, and I've got some CPUs around here that I could use. AM4 stuff is getting interesting. Some of the higher end X570S chipsets are getting rare. They're back ordered. So I found this one. It's a B550. It has pretty much everything. It's like, MSRP is $225. It is now well below that at $129. So, if you really want to still upgrade and eventually get like a 580X, a 5800X 3D, it's a good option. Yeah, you give up the PCI 4.0 second slot for the M.2, but the first one is still up there, and at $129, kind of a heck of a deal. It's got the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. So if you want to upgrade your home network to 2.5, this is an excellent option. And plus, it's it does look sleek.
Josh, I feel like you're still giving
What?
lip service to the 1 gigabit plus networking that's out there.
I
don't
am
feel like
not,
you fully
because I
embraced it.
really want to get 2.5
Josh?
for some reason,
Okay.
because
All right.
I'm jealous of my neighbors that have it.
All right. I'm not.
But
I'm
Josh
not
now
feeling
has a
it from
high
you
fiber
yet.
diet.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do. It's only 1 gigabit fiber, so I don't need it yet. But if I ever want to go to 2 gigabit fiber, which is only $10 more with my group, gotta get the 2.5.
Tempting.
Yeah.
That's
You
tempting.
might have to slide some of that burger money over to fiber.
I'll be talking to you later.
There's not much fiber in those burgers.
No.
Help Josh get 2 more gigabits a second, or another gigabit a second.
Back to the
I
motherboard
gotta
thing.
get a different router. Anyway,
Very timely
go ahead.
pick, Josh, because recently we had a YouTube comment about the availability of the ASRock Phantom Gaming X X570 board. And my response was, they were saying, like, why can't I find this anywhere? And I said, because it's a 4-year-old product and they want you
Yeah, they
move on
stopped
to
making
AM5.
it.
They're focused on AM5 now. So that's the annoying thing, is that we keep on saying on the show, the 5800X3D is such an amazing processor for around $300. Unfortunately, those high-end boards for AM4 are starting to become a little scarce. So that's becoming the problem. Get B550 a lot more
B550
readily.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey,
Benito.
Thank you.
Benito,
Has just
$10.
given me fiber.
Oh!
10 gigabit. Well,
For a month.
wouldn't it be 2?
A month.
Give
Be 2.
give to the 2 gigabit a month.
Josh,
fund
double
for
your
Josh.
bandwidth for 1 month.
Yes,
You can't use it though, because none of your networking equipment supports it. But
exactly.
at least you'll know.
You need to remake, Josh. You need to remake.
You need,
And
you need
Benito,
10
as much
gigabit.
as we appreciate it, do you really want to see Josh at 4K?
I do. And I don't
No,
want to have to
you-
use AI upscaling to make that happen. I want Josh to
No,
provide
that would look
native
better.
10-bit 4K
Actually, just
video
AI
files.
upscale all of us.
No.
So yeah, this is a good option for 2.5 AM4. You still got some good stuff on there, and at a 129, it is relatively inexpensive and nice build. Got all the power phases that you could want.
Exactly.
Plus SATA 6. Come on, man.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
Very useful.
SATA 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can get a 4 terabyte SATA 6 for like $120.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I'm using SATA 6
Cheaper
for
than
these
that.
days is those huge hard drives, like your 20
Yeah.
terabyte, 18 terabyte hard drives.
Yep.
I'm not using SATA SSDs anymore. I'm lying. I'm using a SATA
I
SSD
have
in the
a-
streaming PC that I'm recording to right now
My
onto a SATA SSD.
my TrueNAS box is filled with 10 terabytes, 10 terabytes, 10 terabytes, 10 terabytes, 10 terabytes. 10 terabytes. Yeah, I can run out of
SSDs?
breath.
SSDs?
No, spinners.
Yeah. So you
Spinners.
got that. You got that
Right,
sass. He's sassy.
I do actually have a SAS card in there because you can split that out to 8.
Yep.
Yeah, it works very well.
I think that's what Alan was doing with his crazy FreeNAS contraption. Was
Yeah,
kind of
but he's
SAS.
doing different things now.
Well, yeah, but there was a time I went over to his house and he
I'm-
had a desk covered in like these braided, like I don't know what to call them. It was like an octopus. It was like one cable
Yeah.
that went off to like 8 cables, and there was more than one of those. And
I'm on the
called
level
SCSI.
that we live in the same neighborhood, but he's the crazy guy at the end of the street.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to be at the front of the chain. He wants to be at the end.
Okay, it's
we're
it's
tur-
it's 9:54 Mountain Standard Time. We're moving along. Moving along.
Brett.
Moving along.
Oh,
it's Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Jeremy,
your
Whoa,
pick.
back it up.
Graph paper. You're
What do you
doing
see
a
there?
dungeon crawl.
I've been in this dungeon.
I'm doing Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord.
Oh, at first I
Wordna
thought that was
Is
adventure.
back. They have a bunch of insane people taken the Unreal Engine and redone the graphics on Wizardry 1 and still kept the original code from the Apple II. They did add some benefits to it, so if you don't want to like not have a slight mini map to make sure that you know where you are, because they don't give you a big mini map if you go for the modern conveniences. They just give you the square you can see so you can verify that you are where you are. Your people will still die. The resurrections at the temple will still occasionally fail. But this is the RPG that set everything off. Wizardry 1 was pretty much the first dungeon crawler, unless you want to go back to Zork, and that was text, and there were no graphics. When I saw this, and I don't know how the hell that I didn't, it came up to me on, someone sent it to me on Twitter. I'm like, this is a game when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9. My brother was 5 or 6, and my dad was helping us out. And we literally mapped every single one of these levels of the dungeon. We defeated Wordna with 3 different games. We each had our own little games going. If you want a dungeon crawler, if you want a holy crap, I made it almost to the bottom of the dungeon, but a bunch of people got beat up, and I've got to crawl back, and oh my god, there's an encounter at the stairway back up to the town, and we could almost all die. That's the game right there. It's unforgiving.
Well, this is
really
the NES
doesn't care
version,
about
but
you,
yeah. It's only
but
box
it is
copy I have.
gorgeous, and if you're as old as us, you will remember this fondly and with a bit of trepidation and frustration. They've come out. It is gorgeous. It is fun. If you want to play the pure old school rules, you can do that. If you want to mix and match, so that there's a couple of benefits. What am I looking for here? Life improvements that make things just a little slightly easier. You can have those, or you can have a brand new version which is significantly easier. But no, go for a mix of them, because I'm not that young anymore. I can't deal with what I did back in the day. But still, get some graph paper, map it out, because it doesn't care whether you're having fun or not. It just wants you to play it. Come on. This is old school
Good.
fun.
Good pick. I appreciate that
Very
one.
nice.
It's an early release, but you can still buy it. Come on. If you played Wizardry until it got
Zork.
bad,
You might like this
because
one.
after about Wizardry 3 or 4, yeah, it just got sort of crappy.
Now it's Brett's pick.
Brett?
You know what? I like power, and I like delivering it to people, and I like recommending ways for you to get power to where you are, even if it's on the couch.
Hey! What you gonna do with all that power?
What you're going to do with that power? What you're going to do with that power is you're going to plug your shit in. What I'm saying is that if you've got USB-C, if you've got USB-A, if you've got a laptop, tuck this baby into the couch and
Hidden
just
sofa,
live the
crouching
life.
couch.
Live the life of luxury. This is the way. 15% off. Obviously, coupon there. So for a little bit less than their listed price of $26, you can have couch power in a variety of formats. That's right. 110 laptop, USB-C, or old school USB-A, USB-C, or USB-A, wherever you're at, this device meets you. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Are you saying with this you could be the sofa king?
I think with this by your side, you will never leave the sofa as long as you have the remote.
And you know that flip top that you can...
What's this weird eBay link? Is this also one of your picks?
Well, I just want to. I'm almost done with this first one, and we'll get onto that one in just a moment. First one,
by all means, take your time.
It comes in. It comes in a very a nice white or black tie black. So match your furniture, and as Josh says, be the king of your castle, the ruler of your couch, and you never have to get up again, probably. The second link was one that I just got for myself, which again is all about the power. For those of us who are looking for at least a 3000 VA or a 3000 watt UPS for your rack, for those of us with an actual 19-inch rack at home, this is an outstanding deal. Rack. You're going to have to replace the batteries, but this is a multi-$1,000 line interactive UPS from Triplite, brand new, still in box. Batteries are surely toast, so that's going to cost you a couple $100. But this itself is under $300 delivered. So there's a few left. You might want to go pick one up if you're so inclined and want to roll the dice. I just ordered one. It's on the way.
How expensive are the batteries?
About $150.
Okay.
Not bad.
Kent.
So it's a very expensive UPS for not a tremendous amount of money.
Yes. Kent, your pick this week.
So, 4K gaming is still hard for a lot of people because the modern games are very, very hard to drive at 4K. But there's a lot of cards. There's a lot of cards that'll drive 1440p and even ultra wide 1440p. And so, now might be a good time to look at going to ultra wide, especially with some of the deals out there. And right now, you can get a really good 165 hertz adaptive sync 3440 by 1440 ultra wide curved monitor, $329. It's from AOC. It is a VA panel, so it's probably, not quite as smooth as an IPS, but still, that's a good price to get into ultra wide. And if you're worried about spending that much on a monitor that you would only use for gaming, I can tell you from personal experience, these are marvelous for productivity as well. I actually have one on my desk at work because you can have multiple windows of data open and be able to use them back and forth. And it's great. It's fantastic. So I've got an ultra wide at home, got an ultra wide at work. I game at home, and the gaming experience on an ultrawide is wonderful and immersive. And even though it's an ultrawide, it still doesn't take up a huge amount of space. Not height-wise.
And one day Starfield will support it.
And one day Starfield will support it.
Thank you for watching. This is the end. This is the end of another episode. Thank you for listening.
Wait,
And
did Kent fully explain his pick, or are we done with
as
Kent?
much as he's going to?
No, I think we got
I felt like
Yeah,
it
you
reached a
did.
conclusion
Okay.
of some type or other. Anyway, yeah, the show's over, and I don't think we could possibly have a better outro than the dueling outros from Josh and Kent.
It was
Kent,
something.
who always brings that dry, sarcastic wit to the show, but last week was just fantastic. Like, so long, it's over, we're done, or whatever you said, and I just cut
This
it
is
off.
the end.
This is the end.
It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off ending. What are you still doing here? Go home.
Kent,
Go
can you
home.
give us an outro again?
Go home.
This is the end. Josh's only friend, the end.